Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Beauty Beyond Mirrors, and welcome back for another video. If you are new, my name is Sierra, and my channel is solely dedicated to self-love or lack of self-love. I offer some personal experiences along with some solutions because, like I always say, what's the point in talking about things that's going on if you have no solutions for it? So before I start, I first want to give y'all a chance to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and start a thread in the comment section below as the video goes on, because I'm sure we can relate to this. All right, so today's topic I wanted to dive into, and it's going to be quick. It's not going to be too long because I just did another video for my other channel, my primary channel, which is titled Sierra's World, which I'm going to have linked here. And that channel is solely about my life and everything in between. I got a lot of different stuff going on. I be in the gym. Hold on, guys.
A few moments later.
All right, sorry y'all. Whew. If only y'all knew how long I was off this camera. I was just talking to my sister, she called. But I wanted to come on the camera really quick and talk about people who talk behind your back. Now, I have my own personal story about myself and how I was that person in high school. The umbrella of people who talk behind your back is geared in fear. It's safe to say that, right? Because when you talk behind someone's back, when you can talk to the person that you're talking about, it's fear-based. Fear of rejection, meaning you fear that your voice is not going to be heard. You feel like your voice, your feelings is not going to be validated. Whatever the reasons are, it's rooted in fear. And that's what I have came into conclusion with. So it's fear-based, but before it's fear-based, it can be hatred, resentment in some form or fashion, anger as the umbrella, which is why you choose to go to another person or persons to talk about the same said person, especially if you have a relationship with that person. Me personally, I can remember very vividly in high school, I had a best friend in high school, and I first met her in middle school. In my neighborhood, a gang of us went from middle school to high school together, and we had some that I've even been with since, what's before middle school? I don't know. Oh, like grade school. So like second grade, third grade. So there's some people I literally went through my whole formative years in school. But the point that I'm making is I met this girl in middle school, and we were like the best of friends. Best of friends. You didn't see her without seeing me. You didn't see me without seeing her. We were like yin and yang, cheech and chong. We had a lot of things in common. We went to grade school together. Once we went to high school, we were still thick as thieves. This is 9th grade. I think that was like close to the peak of our friendship. 10th grade, we were really good too. Once we hit 11th grade was when things changed. And I'm the type of person, I believe in accountability, even if I'm the one that has to be held accountable. And I think I mentioned this in one of my previous videos. Actually, I did, but it's not on this page. It's on another page. It's on my primary page. In 10th grade, I remember me, and I'll call her Stacy. Me and Stacy, you know, we were going to clubs, you know, every now and then. We were, you know, doing typical teenager stuff. But the furthest we've ever went together was going to clubs. We didn't do anything else together that was rebellious, I would say. So it was really just going to clubs. It was drinking. Yes, it was drinking. It was drinking alcohol, and going to clubs at 16 years old. So this is like 10th grade going into junior year. So once junior year hit, I did notice that Stacy was starting to hang out with a certain set of girls that we ourselves didn't hang with because they were just too fast for their age. Like, they were grown. You always got, there's levels of being grown. You got the typical rebellion teenager, like, ooh, I want to go to a club, you know, but I'm not going to be leaving with every Tom, Dick, and Harry, but I'm not going to be smoking weed. Like, there's still levels of what you won't do even when you are in that rebellious stage. That's where we were. And then you had the other set of girls that would dress like they're probably 20 years old. They would date guys that was really, really a lot older. And, you know, they were just into some stuff that it didn't fit our speed. Let me say that. We called them just fast, although some people may argue that we were fast. And I would say, well, yes and no. There's levels to being fast. We were definitely on the lower spectrum of that. But anyway, be that as it may, she was starting to hang out with them. I noticed her clothing started to change. She stopped dressing. Like, we pretty much had similar styles. So it was pretty evident when I started noticing she would show a little bit of stomach more. She would dress very nice though. Very nice. But it would be very mature, very like I'm coming of age, which was nice because like I said, she dressed nice. She would dress the way I would dress. She wasn't dressing kiddie or anything like that anymore. She started to take more pride in how she dressed, I would say. So she would dress more upscale now, and I noticed she would start hanging out with those type of girls more. And then I noticed that she started to smoke weed and stuff. At this point, I've never ever touched weed ever. I couldn't even think like to touch weed. My thing was like I'll drink alcohol here or there. I never got drunk, but I'll drink like alcohol here or there, but I never touched weed. And so you can imagine me, the girl who is still shy, the girl who is rebellious but not too rebellious, starting to see her BFF Stacy, right? Starting to hang out with the same clique of girls that's like dating dudes twice their age and smoking weed. They were all known to do all that, just being very out there, years beyond their age. So at that point in time, I did notice we started to grow apart because our interest was different. I noticed she would just behave differently. She would just behave differently. That's the clearest way that I could put it, and I didn't know how to handle it. I remember I did indirectly mention it to her at times, like, oh, I feel like you're changing. I remember I did say, I feel like you're changing. And I forget what she said verbatim, guys. This has been so long ago. I'm 31 years old now. This was like when I was 16, 17. But this was junior year. I can remember that much. And I think she was like, no, I'm not changing, or something like that. But either way, her actions wasn't showing that. It was clear that she wanted to start hanging out with those set of girls more and just started going out more, staying out with them. I wasn't invited. It was that type of thing. So instead of going to her like I should have, and like I advise y'all to, if you're on that type of level with somebody, you go to the person. Although I did go to her. I'm not going to sit up there and not give myself credit. I did go to her with it. But I felt like it was falling on deaf ears because I was still not her priority anymore. She was still hanging out with the girls. I still felt like slowly but surely I was losing my best friend as I knew it, because she was changing, because she was. And instead of, I guess, confiding in her again, I started to confide in other people. And I'm gonna be honest, my intentions were pure in the beginning. I would literally just come to them hoping that they can give me some type of rationale for why I'm seeing her change like this. Why is she now hanging out with these people? Why is she now, hanging out late? Now she's with these guys and these guys, not sexually, not to my knowledge, but just with them. Or why is she now smoking weed? We never smoke weed. We're better than that. I was always that type of girl. And she divvied that up as me being extra judgmental. And I'm not going to lie, I was very judgmental. And I think that's more of a reason why she probably pushed away from me, because she knew that the lifestyle she was getting into now, hanging out with those girls, I wouldn't like it. So I talked about it to other people. But like I said in the beginning, it was pure. I'm just like, hey, listen, she's doing this. What should I do? But you should never, ever do that in high school or in any situations, because about time it makes its way over to that person, she called you a bee, she called you fat, she called you a hoe, she called you all of these things. And that couldn't be furthest from the truth. Yeah, all of this happened our junior year. And honestly, I would say it was never the same. Senior year, we just were not talking. Because by that point in time, she got word that I was talking about her. And she never mentioned it. Her sister mentioned it to me, like, Stacy, she just kept quiet. But I knew that the energy wasn't the same. Her sister, who I was also cool with, she was the one who would say, hey, she did hear these things that you were talking about and stuff like that. So it did come to a head one day. I remember I was at someone's house. Was I getting my hair done? I don't know. Somebody was getting their hair done. Somebody was getting their hair done. Long story short, I guess it came to a head. She was there. She threw a brush at me. We didn't end up physically fighting, but we were close to it because there was people in there that backed us off. But I guess that was her holding in her anger, because in her defense, she went so long being silent about what she knew other people was coming to her saying, like, hey, your friend Sierra is talking mad crap about you. You know what I'm saying? And she kept quiet and kept quiet until she exploded. So in her defense, I don't blame her for feeling angry, because here you have somebody who's supposed to be your friend, and yeah, you know that you're coming into your own woman as you know it. Yeah, you know that you guys are separating, but you don't expect that friend Sierra to go to other people about you. And I did. And I say all that to say, while I did that, I knew it wasn't right, especially towards the end. And I was mad at her too, especially after that near fight event, because I felt like there's boundaries that you don't cross. And the moment you try to physically harm me, all bets is off. Me and you are done. You know, we were already done before that, because by that time she was full blown with them. Her attitude changed. Her appearance changed. What she was doing was changing. Everything was changing. I still felt like there's a line that you don't cross, but we were already at this point. And that just goes to show you that there's some people that's meant to be in your life for seasons, and there's people who's meant to be in your life for a lifetime. That was a seasonal friendship that I don't regret, because like I said, we had a great time. I've known her since I think I was in 6th or 7th grade. I've known her, and we've just gotten closer and closer and closer. I'll never regret it. It's nothing that bad to regret, but it is something to note. And for you who's watching, if you're in grade school, if you're in high school especially, those are important years. That is, I would say high school is the precursor for setting you up for how you're going to be as an adult. I would say that. You have some people who go through phases in high school and they revert back to how they were raised. And then you have some people who change in high school and they never go back. That is the world that we live in. You know, in life, we all have choices. How I should have dealt with that was, number one, not talk behind her back. After I spoke to her and I expressed my feelings and I still seen the same thing, I should have just went up to her again and told her, hey, listen, I see that we're just on 2 different patterns. We're on 2 different paths. We should just call it a day, and there is no love lost. That's how I should have handled it. That is not how the 16-year-old, 17-year-old Sierra handled it. I handled it like somebody who did not want to face the truth would, honestly. And that's what you shouldn't do. Now, obviously, I was a child then. I knew it was wrong at a certain point in time that I was going back talking about her. But I felt like I could not talk to her. I did. And that's the only reason why I did that. But as I've gotten older, I realized just how important it is to sit the person down and to let them know how you're feeling. And guess what? If that turns out to be that they're not going to change in any way, you have to leave. That's okay too. You can say, listen, I appreciate our friendship, or hey, I appreciate our marriage, or I appreciate whatever. I appreciate our association, whatever. I appreciate us being together for the time that we were together, but you know, it's ran its course. That's life. That's gonna happen. So the moral of the story is, it's never a good idea to talk behind people's back. I am the complete opposite as I used to be. That's for sure. I'm the complete opposite. Me personally, I already don't have a lot of women friends in my life. Like I said in my other video, I've had like maybe 2 closest friends. I have one childhood friend. And I have one other close associate friend. But for the most part, guys, and this may sound corny and cliche, my sisters are my best friends. And I couldn't be more happy and proud of that. We've been through so much together. We've had so many ups and downs. We know each other like the back of our hands. They're like my right hand. So my sisters are my best friends. And I guess that's why I never really cared so much about having outside best friends. Like, if something don't work with a female on a platonic level, I'm just like, okay. Like, I'm just so like, whatever, because I have sisters. And I have sisters who I'm really close to. So it really didn't bother me. And I guess that's how I do it. But I've always gravitated more towards male energy when it comes to friends. And I don't know. Then I got my man, he's my best friend too. So I add him to the boat. We're just like goofy together. We like to laugh. I like to yank his chain. And that's just what it's about. I have a small circle, y'all. They get me, I get them. I don't stray too far out to people who aren't like me, and last time I checked with the individual, the girl is Stacy, that's the name. Last time I checked, this was years ago. Last time I checked, yeah, we really were not yoked. We were not evenly yoked. She's living her life one way, I'm living my life another. So it was supposed to end that way. That's what I'm saying. It was supposed to end that way, but it serves as a bigger reminder that you see where it got me when I was 16, 17 years old in an almost physical altercation. So it never helped, to talk behind people's back. If you feel like once you've talked to that person and they're still doing what you don't like, you owe it to yourself and your dignity to just leave. That's okay too. Like, I knew what I had to do back then. I just didn't want to believe it. I did not want to believe that years and years of friendships is now coming to an end because she's changing. That was the problem. That's what I didn't want to accept. But you have to accept it because this is life. This is life. Everybody is not going to think like Sierra. Everybody is not going to have the same thought process, have the same morals, have the same integrity, see life the same way that you do as Sierra does. And that's okay. That's why they are a different person. And that's why I'm different. So if you're watching this, y'all, never, ever, ever talk behind people's backs. I mean, granted, like, we're all going to do talking behind people's back. I don't care how minor it is. I do that for sure. I be talking behind people's back with my sisters. I be laughing and joking. We be watching television. We watch TV shows and we be talking crap. We're going to talk our talk. But in a friendship or even in a relationship, and even with my sisters, like, I'm not going to be telling y'all all these deep, dark secrets of my sisters because that's none of your business. So you just got to know how to operate as an adult. You have to, but unfortunately we have some adults that don't. You have some adults that's pushing 40 that still like to talk behind people's back. And yes, this is a subliminal. You have some adults that's pushing 40. You know who you are. Pushing 40, still talking behind people's backs. And you could not be the most scariest person there is on this earth. Okay? You have some people that are just miserable. They're very envious. That's another thing you have to look out for. Very envious, hateful, dark-hearted people who like to talk behind your back but would never say it to your face. Because you see this thing called eye contact, it scares them. And they don't like accountability either. So they much rather go through a middleman, which is the same thing that I did as a 16, 17-year-old in high school. They go through a middleman to tell all of their secrets and grievance and try to get information about people through a middleman, when you a whole grown adult and this person is at arm's length, if not call length, that you can call them and ask these dying questions that you have answers to, or that you want answers to. Anyways, I'm not going to stray too far off, but the point is, people, we all need to grow up. And one of the surest ways to grow up is to remove or reduce talking behind people's backs, because it does nothing but hurt you in the end. And it digs a deeper hole for yourself. Do you really want to be known as the girl or the guy who like to talk behind people's backs, whoever it is? You don't want that name on you, because you'll never be able to get it off. And then on top of that, you run the risk of losing relationships, or you run the risk of getting your head caved in. And or, I don't support violence unless it's very necessary. But that's the point that I'm making, y'all. So I hope this video meant something to you. I hope you were able to see just how dangerous and destroying talking behind someone's back can be, you know, if you have a relationship with that person. And even if you don't, you just don't really want to be that type of person. So make sure you like this video right now. I'm going to give you another few seconds. Like, comment, and subscribe. Like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, peace.